Now, I see a lot of people in the chat asking about Juror 409, who I believe is the alternate who's given the interview, and basically indicated that she would have forced a hung jury because she thought that they were guilty. Does that surprise you, just knowing what you knew about the jury? Were you expecting anyone like that?
We were hoping not. I can't say I am surprised by that interview. I watched the jurors during the whole trial. I'm taking notes, not on the jurors, but on what the witnesses are saying. But at the same time, I'm watching the jurors, and I sensed a lot of affinity with the two lead prosecutors in the case.
Yeah.
On her part. So I was not surprised by that.
And you're basing that on just reaction, general facial expressions when they're talking, that kind of thing. You had a lot of days to observe them, so that had to have aided to it, right? I remember Attorney Botts in our interview the other day was saying that he thought it was overall favorable to the defendants to be in court so many days because the number of positive interactions that the jurors can see the defendants have, like with the deputies, et cetera, goes on. How did that, did you keep that in mind when you were looking at the jury or trying to read reactions?
Yes, and you always tell your client that someone is always watching, one juror at least. And yes, their demeanor is very important. The interactions with the deputies, yes, people were a little more relaxed as the trial went on, especially after the change in judge, I'll have to say.
Yeah. And so after the jury is selected, how does your job change when you're sitting in there every day?
When I work with Ryan, he wants me to take notes. I'm not a court reporter, so I don't take transcripts. But I'm writing down key points of what the witnesses are saying. And it's for use later in compiling closing arguments or in reviewing or in cross-examination of that witness. So I take notes. So I have trial notes on every day I was in court. And some days much more than others.
And you're thinking of this all from the standpoint of the juror people standpoint, the narrative. How is the narrative coming out? Is that what you're looking for here?
That, yes, and sometimes specific facts that we want to tie something to later on.
Yes.
Yes, but the narrative is really important, and I think that's from the beginning was a huge problem for the state.
Yes.
I re-listened to the opening statement the other day. I was lost, and I know the case. And I remember sitting there that day and thinking, I know this case, but I can't follow this. It was everywhere.
Yes.
No story.
Had you done cases involving rap lyrics as evidence? And I mean, surely you'd done cases involving social media as evidence just in this day and age, Instagram posts, but had you?
Some, not anywhere near to the extent as this case. Usually it's phone evidence, texts, timing of phone calls, emails. That's much more than social media.
Not just the post stands alone kind of thing. They're looking at the timing.
I don't recall anything quite like this. This trial was different than most anything I've worked on, I will have to say, in many ways. Not just in the length, but the type of evidence. And I think the state might think twice on this heavy reliance on social media. It was not very effective.
Yes, it seems.
That and the lyrics combined.
That's what I've seen from the jurors in the interviews. after.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten a chance to watch much of these juror interviews?
I think I have seen most of them. Yes. Yes. I was really interested. I hated that I could not talk to them at the end.
Is there anything that surprises you about what they said?
I felt in watching them as the trial progressed that they were increasingly sympathetic to us.
Yeah.
I had a good, strong sense of that. Obviously, I can't read minds, so you don't know. It's all observation, and but I felt very good about the jury. I was a little surprised by the extent to which they agreed with us. It was almost like everything I'd been thinking about this case, they had the same opinion.
Yeah.